The much-awaited trade deal between India and the United States did not happen. After months of high-level meetings, multiple visits, and big promises, the deal simply fell apart. Over the past year, the two countries were deeply engaged in negotiations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Washington in February 2025 was seen as the defining moment. Standing alongside President Donald Trump, PM Modi spoke confidently of doubling bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030. Both sides agreed to work toward a comprehensive agreement. But by late July, everything changed. President Trump announced that the US would impose a 25% tariff on Indian goods starting August 1. Neither government has shared a detailed explanation, but trade experts agree on one thing. The two biggest stumbling blocks were agriculture and dairy. Why are these two sectors such a red line for India? To answer that, let us start with agriculture. Farming in India is very different from farming in America. In the US, large machines cultivate thousands of acres. Farming is highly mechanized and industrialized. In India, the picture is entirely different. Nearly half of India's population, close to 600 million people, depend on agriculture for their livelihood. But most farmers own very small plots of land, often less than 2 hectares. Their incomes are low and they live with constant uncertainty, relying on monsoon rains and modest government support. Agriculture accounts for only about 16% of India's GDP, but it remains the backbone of rural life. That means millions of people share a small slice of the economic pie. When prices fall or crops fail, entire communities suffer. Now imagine what would happen if foreign farm products suddenly enter the Indian market at much lower prices. Indian farmers simply cannot compete with the scale and efficiency of US agriculture, which is supported by advanced technology and heavy subsidies. According to some estimates, opening the dairy and agriculture sectors to US imports could cost India over 1 lakh crore rupees annually. That is not just an economic loss, it is a social catastrophe. Lower prices would push farmers deeper into debt, which has already been a leading cause of farmer suicides in India. And this is not just about numbers, it is about politics. Farmers represent a powerful vote bank. Any policy that threatens their livelihood can lead to massive protests and political turmoil. The government knows this, and that is why agriculture remains a highly protected sector. Dairy is even more sensitive. India is the world's largest producer of milk with an annual output of more than 220 million tons. This success story is credited to the White Revolution led by Vergas Kurian in the 1970s, which transformed India from a milk-deficient country into a global leader. Today, milk is not just an essential food item, it is a symbol of India's self-reliance. The dairy industry provides a steady source of income for millions of small farmers. Many rural families survive on milk sales. The cooperative system with brands like Amul at the forefront ensures that farmers get fair prices. If India opens its market to American dairy products, this entire system could collapse. US farms are massive, industrialized, and far more cost efficient. Their products would flood the Indian market at prices local farmers cannot match. But the challenge is not just economic, it is cultural as well. In the US, dairy cows are often given hormones like recombinant bovine growth hormone to increase milk production. Many farms use feed made from animal remains to boost protein intake. These practices are common in the US, but in India they are unacceptable. The cow is considered sacred by millions, and the idea of drinking milk from an animal fed on animal parts would cause outrage. Health concerns also play a role. Many Indian consumers fear that milk from hormone treated cows could have long term health risks. For these reasons, India has strict import rules. Dairy imports are allowed only if they are certified as hormone free and produced from cattle that are fed a vegetarian diet. On top of that, India imposes tariffs as high as 60% on dairy products. These measures are not arbitrary. They are meant to protect both farmers and consumers. Removing them for a trade deal would spark cultural backlash and political crisis. The US also wanted India to allow genetically modified crops such as GM corn and soya beans. But India has been extremely cautious in this area. While BT cotton is approved, GM food crops are not. There are concerns about health safety, environmental risks, and the loss of indigenous seed varieties. Farmers worry about becoming dependent on foreign seed companies, which could make agriculture more expensive and risky. For a country that still runs the world's largest food security program, opening the door to GM imports is seen as too dangerous. It could affect public distribution systems, school meal schemes, and the overall food safety net. This is why every government, regardless of political party, has taken a cautious approach to GM foods. If these concerns sound theoretical, look back at the farm laws of 2020 and 2021. The government tried to reform agriculture by allowing farmers to sell outside government markets and encouraging private investment. On paper, the laws promised more freedom and higher incomes, but farmers saw them differently. They feared losing the minimum support price system and being left at the mercy of big corporations. What followed was one of the largest protests in India's history. For over a year, thousands of farmers camped on highways near Delhi, braving winter cold, summer heat, and even the pandemic. In the end, the government had to repeal the laws. That episode sent a clear message. Agriculture in India is not just an economic sector, it is a political dynamite. This is why India cannot simply say yes to US demands. For America, asking for greater access to Indian farm and dairy markets may seem like normal trade negotiation, but for India, the stakes are much higher. It is not just about trade numbers, it is about protecting millions of livelihoods, preserving cultural values, and ensuring food security. A wrong move could lead to rural distress, widespread protests, and political instability. These are risks no government in India can afford to take. The talks are still on. It's not a dead end. But surely, whether the deal happens or not, one thing is certain. India will not accept opening up the agriculture and dairy industry to US imports. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again.